Well, hello. How are you doing? I'm so proud of you. If you watched everything so far in the series, you are so far along in your entrepreneurial journey. And I just have to say, and I don't mean it in a hokey way, I mean it sincerely. You're my brothers and sisters. You may not know it. You may not know it yet, especially if you're a new entrepreneur. But we entrepreneurs have to stick together. We're peculiar. We're different from other people. Something interesting happened yesterday. I was actually doing one of my CARs, right? My conversion and rejuvenation. I was at a park and I was swinging in a swing and I was just taking some downtime in between activities as an entrepreneur. Then the phone rang, and it was a fellow entrepreneur that I respect a lot. He's really driven his business in a fantastic way. I think they're going to hit 10 million this year. 10 million. Small business owner. He started that business from the dirt, y'all. And I don't mind telling you, I'm still driving to my first million, and I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there in a year. But this story, he called and he was returning some equipment that he had rented from me. He was returning it early, and he was all in the tizzy, and he was telling me that his whole team walked off the job on him. Now I know. Especially, again, I gotta say, especially some of you, if you're a new entrepreneur, your mind, you probably tend to think, what about the worker? What about the worker? What about the worker? And as an entrepreneur, we do think about the worker. We also think about the owner. And that's what I want to talk about right now. That is, unless there was a case of egregious abuse, egregious not being paid, unsafe work practice. I mean, there's reasons to walk off a job. Not getting the right PPE, personal protective equipment, and I can go on and on. There's reasons. There's even reasons to walk off a job. I'm not saying that there's never a reason for it. This owner isn't like that. I've never heard any rumors. I've never heard anything about him mistreating people, not paying people, not keeping a safe workplace. In fact, he was the leader of a very reputable professional organization. And so I lamented with him. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, being brothers and sisters. When a fellow entrepreneur calls me and tells me about a peril, I feel that peril because I too am an entrepreneur, and it can happen to me and it can happen to you. So the lesson is, we're brothers and sisters, and let's behave like it. We're not enemies. We're not enemies. We're brothers and sisters. We're trying to do our best to make this world a beautiful place. So let's go. As far as our lessons, yeah, by now, if you've gone through everything, you've got your name done, you've got your corporate responsibilities done, you've done your vision and mission statement, and now it's time for your entity selection. Woohoo! Let's get into it. Yeah. Think big, think huge, think awesome about your business. I don't care if you're manufacturing thimbles to manufacturing space shuttles. Put your heart and soul into it. And we need you to do it. Okay, next, you got your vision and your mission statement. Then what type of entity, what type of business entity are you going to be? So we did all of that good, creative, and passion work. Now the IRS is going to cause us. Now we got it. At some point, we got to kind of come down. So I say stay Was it, was that the Grateful Dead theory? That's an old rock group. Stay as high as you can, as long as you can. So now you got to come down. You got to come down because you got to determine what type of entity you're going to be. What are you going to be when you grow up as a business? Shout out to these folks over at L4SB. You can see their website up there if you like. They have this entity selector tool. Okay, let's get started. This is by question and answers, you'll figure out what type of business entity is right for you. Is it going to be an LLC, which is limited liability company? Is it going to be a sole proprietorship? That's like, it's just me, myself, and I. Is it going to be a partnership? Like me and my brother, me and a friend of mine? Is it going to be some kind of corporate setup? Corporation, S Corp, or C Corp? There are so many, that's why it's good to have a tool like this to kind of direct you, okay? So all you got to do is answer questions. Do you want your business to be anonymous? No, I want people to know it. Okay. Will you be the only owner of the business? Up to you, yes or no. I'm gonna answer it as if I'm resetting up Knovl. So nope, it's my wife and I. So wait, did I answer that right? It was, oh man. Come on, go back. All right, do you want pass-through taxation? All right, so do you want the taxes to come to you as the person, or in other words, profit and losses of the company to flow through to the owners? The answer yes, or the alternative is a subchapter C of the IRS code. So if the answer is no, it's going to be some type of corporation. Okay, so this is important. Look, you're going to have to consult a tax expert here. What's best for you as far as your specific tax situation? All right, I'm going to answer it as if I would have answered it back then. Do I want pass-through taxation? No. Do you plan to raise startup capital? Yes. Need help picking the state? No. So then the recommendation for us at that time was a corporation. And indeed, when we first started, we started the Knovl Company as a corporation. If you don't care about pass-through taxation, in other words, you want taxable events, let's call them, to pass through to you as the owners, then you would have said no to that, and it would have directed you it would have directed you to open an LLC. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Because I feel like I confused myself there. Okay. All right, let's get started again. Now I'm going to answer it differently. I want to try to force it to go to LLC. Let's see if I can do that. If your primary goal is to conduct business without disclosing ownership publicly, let's see, without disclosing ownership. And no, you don't care. Most people don't care if someone knows who the owner is. All right, no. Will you be the only owner of the business? All right, no. All right, here we go with the pass-through taxation again. So we're going to say yes this time. Will the company be owned by non-resident aliens? No. Will the company distribute profits and loss on a pro rata basis? All right, this is a very important question. It will comply with state laws. Answer no if you're intending to distribute the profit and losses of the company differently than according to percentage owned. For example, if there will be two owners, you're going to own the company 50-50, but only one owner will claim all the profits and losses, then this is not pro rata. So, distribute profit and losses pro rata, we're going to say yes. I'm thinking about how most people would set up their company. It's going to be probably you and the brother, you and your wife, you and a friend or something like if you do have another person. So you're going to share in the profit and losses. The answer is yes. All right, will you be paid wages, salaries by the company? How about yes? All right. Will the company distribute profit and losses pro rata? Yes. I didn't like that. It didn't like what I did there. Okay, I better say no. It keeps going back. Yes. All right, yes. Boy, this thing is in a do loop. Will the company distribute profits and losses pro rata? I guess it wants me to say no. No, I guess it wanted me to say no there. Okay. Answer is no. All right. Need help picking a state? No. So now you get to this limit liability company. Y'all gonna have to study that one, y'all. That pro rata thing threw me. I don't know enough about it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't know. You got to go get help from somebody else, from somebody that knows something about taxes. What are they talking about there with that pro rata stuff? If I find out about it, I'll let you know. If you find out about it, y'all let the whole folks here know. It threw me on that one. All right, so that's how you get it to get to LLC. I think about it like this, y'all. So that's a tool that you can use that's kind of based with some tax law behind it. Just in general, I think of it like I'm advising you to either start your company as an LLC or a corporation. Don't even worry about partnerships and sole proprietorships, because you're gonna need some legal shielding, and that's what an LLC and a corporation provide, and you're gonna need some tax shielding, and that's what LLCs and corporations provide. Corporations more than LLCs. The amount of which, that's up to you and your lawyer and your tax professional. All right, let me break in, y'all. Break into this video right here. Not so happy with the way that the entity selection went. I want to simplify it for you because it just, the last thing I want is for you to get yourself an analysis paralysis over picking the entity. It matters, but it doesn't matter that much if it's going to cost you time. And ultimately, if it's going to cost you just stopping and not going on with your vision. So, okay, let's look at something more simple. Look at this flow chart here. And let's just follow the flow chart. Am I the only owner? As we're talking about entity selection, what type of business are you going to set up? Ask yourself, am I the only owner? So let's go down the yes route. You say yes, you're the sole owner. Am I willing to pay for limited liability? If the answer is no, if you're not willing to pay the $200, $300 to become a limited liability company, then no, then you're a sole proprietor, and then you set up your accounting thusly. Okay? Then you'll be a sole proprietor. So I can't say sole proprietor. Sole proprietor. Okay. Then, but what if it's yes? Then you ask yourself, will my business take on any debt? And then if the answer is yes, then the recommendation is that you become a limited liability company. File your articles of corporation, prepare operating agreement, obtain EIN, and thus. Okay? And then if the answer is no, then you're going to become a corporation. Now, then you have an answer, a yes or no answer as far as going from there. Excuse me, of course the phone would ring. Excuse me. All right, yes or no as far as corporation, what type of corporation as far as taking on any startup investors? If the answer is no, then you would be what's called an S Corp. Then you file your articles, prepare bylaws, and such. If the answer is yes, that you do anticipate taking on startup investors, then you become a C Corp, file your articles, prepare bylaws, and such. let me say one more thing about the C Corp. And all of these entities, if you, nothing's set in stone. So you can start off as a sole proprietor and then become an LLC later and then become a corporation later. That's no problem. Let me just talk about the S Corp versus C Corp. There is one other benefit of a C Corp. So when you're talking about taking on investors because of that C Corp, you can be your own investor. What do I mean? I mean that you can utilize, as a C Corp, it is easier to utilize your 401k towards your startup funds for your C Corp without incurring a penalty. There is a way, there is an allowance in the tax codes where you can shift money from your established 401k accounts, from your established retirement accounts, and move them as an investment into your corporation. Okay? I don't want to confuse things now. Just know that it's possible. If you want to know more about it, just send me just put it in the IM, and I'll let you know a company that I'd recommend to kind of walk you right through that process if you're interested in that. That's probably only less than 10% of you, so I'm not gonna. Well, I don't know. I'm saying it's less than 10. If it's more, then I'll do a whole. I'll interview the guy if you guys like. So let me know if you're interested in using your 401k. And I'm legally, y'all, without penalties. It's within the IRS code to fund your startup as a C Corp. Let me know. Okay. Now, what if you're not the only owner, right? Remember I talked about what if you started with your wife, started with a partner, started with a brother? The answer is no. Then are you willing to pay for the limited liability part again? If the answer is no, then the recommendation is that you become a partnership. Okay? If the answer is yes, then it's, I thought I was showing you. Sorry, y'all. Back to the flow chart. That's how that other part looked. Okay, now we're up to, will my business take on any debt? If the answer is no, then you go here to, will all profits and losses be allocated and distributed on a pro rata basis? Pro rata, let's define that. Pro rata basis, proportion distribution of an amount or benefit based on some specific criteria, from the Latin phrase pro rata parte, in other words, in proportion. So what does that mean here? This is saying that you will set up in your company bylaws that the profit and loss will be shared amongst partners in a 50-50 basis if there's two, and a 33 and a third basis if there are three. You understand what I'm saying? Pro rata, a proportion. Okay, if the answer is yes for that pro rata basis, then am I willing to pay a second level of taxation? And then if the answer is no, you can either be an S Corp or a LLC. If the answer is maybe, then you have another question as, do you anticipate taking on startup investors? If the answer is yes, then it's C Corp there. If the answer was no about taking on second level of taxation and you know you don't want to be an LLC, then it's S Corp. Okay, I hope that clears that up for you. More to come, more to come. Wow. Wasn't that cool? So you got your entity selection done. It's a lot. There's a lot of different choices you have, but we navigated through it together. Why? Because you're my brother and sister in entrepreneurship. I'm serious. So now you're telling me I've taught you on how to do a name search, how to do corporate responsibility, how to do a vision and a mission, how to do entity selection, and you wouldn't help me? If I needed something, some piece of knowledge that you had, are you going to tell me that you wouldn't help me now? I don't believe it. I think even at this point, I think we've built enough of a relationship that you would help me. If you had the information and I needed it, I think you'd help me. That makes us kindred spirits. There's a word for it. I mean, that's why they used to have, in the old days, they used to have guilds. So, you know, you would have a blacksmith's guild, you'd have an ironworkers guild, you'd have a, I don't know. I don't know how many other guilds. I don't know, maybe a cook's guild. What else were they doing back then? Not even gonna act like I know all the guilds. But hey, but we have an entrepreneurship guild, and you're my brother and my sister, and God bless you. Thank you for going this far with it. I'm proud of you. The next thing we're going to talk about is so special and so needed, as all of it has been, but now you're ready to do your business plan. Woohoo! This is going to be great. You're going to love this part. Talk to you soon.